As a dog owner, you have likely looked into your companion's eyes 1,000 times, searching for that profound, unspoken understanding that defines the human-canine bond. But what if I told you that one specific, fleeting ocular movement is not a sign of affection, but a silent psychological distress signal? A hidden cry for help from deep within their evolutionary programming that most owners completely misinterpret, or worse, ignore entirely. When your dog locks eyes with you, then subtly shifts their gaze while keeping their head perfectly still, exposing a crescent moon of white tissue, they are communicating in a highly specialized ancient dialect. In the world of canine ethology, this is known as whale eye or physiological scleral exposure. It is a precise behavioral manifestation of an acute neurological shift, a visual alarm bell ringing from the depths of their limbic system. If you look away, if you laugh, or if you punish them in this exact micro-moment, you are breaking a critical evolutionary contract of trust. Today, we are going to peel back the layers of the canine mind and decode the profound neuroscience, evolutionary psychology, and hidden emotional trauma behind this exact gaze, exploring what is actually happening inside your dog's brain when they look at you this way, and exactly how you must respond to protect their psychological well-being. To truly understand the weight of this gaze, we have to look beneath the fur and skin, directly into the architecture of the canine brain. When a dog displays whale eye, exposing the white sclera, it is rarely an aggressive gesture in its initial stages. Instead, it is a visual byproduct of intense autonomic nervous system arousal. Specifically, the sympathetic nervous system has completely taken over, triggering a cascade of physiological changes designed for survival. When your dog perceives a threat, an environmental stressor, or intense psychological pressure, the amygdala, the brain's emotional processing center, fires an immediate distress signal to the hypothalamus. This acts like a command center, flooding the dog's bloodstream with epinephrine and cortisol. This sudden surge of adrenaline causes the pupils to dilate rapidly to let in more light, optimizing their visual field to track potential threats. Concurrently, the extraocular muscles, which control eye movement, tense up under extreme stress. The dog is hyper-focused on the source of their anxiety, yet they desperately want to keep you, their primary attachment figure, in their peripheral vision. This creates a powerful physical tension in the ocular pocket, pulling the cornea forward and forcing the white of the eye to bulge outward. It is a state of profound psychological conflict. Their brain is trapped between the instinct to flee, the impulse to defend themselves, and the deep-seated desire to seek safety from you. Before we dive deeper into how this stress manifests in daily life, take a quick moment right now to type your dog's name and their breed in the comments below, and let me know if you have ever noticed this intense, wide-eyed stare during specific moments like feeding time or grooming. It helps the algorithm share this vital canine behavioral science with more dedicated owners just like you. This ocular phenomenon is deeply rooted in the concept of canine metasignals. In ethology, metasignals are subtle, overarching behavioral cues that modify the meaning of the actions that follow them. When a dog displays physiological scleral exposure, they are establishing a profound behavioral context. They are silently signaling that their internal coping mechanisms are completely overwhelmed. In Western households, this frequently happens during seemingly mundane, well-intentioned interactions. Consider the classic scenario of an owner hugging their dog, leaning over them to kiss their forehead, or wrapping their arms around their neck for a photo. To a human, this is the ultimate expression of love, mediated by our own primate evolution, which values ventral-to-ventral physical contact. But to a canine, an animal whose evolutionary history is rooted in cursorial hunting and spatial freedom, a physical hug is a terrifying act of social restriction and spatial dominance. When you drape your weight over a dog, you are activating their innate claustrophobic response. They cannot flee, so their brain defaults to the next survival strategy. They freeze their body entirely, lower their ears against their skull to protect them, and track your face with a rigid, whale-eyed stare. They are begging you, through the only physical language available to them, to give them space, to de-escalate the pressure, and to respect their physical boundaries. This silent distress call becomes even more critical when we examine the concept of resource guarding and canine possessiveness, a behavior that is deeply misunderstood by many traditional trainers. When a dog is chewing on a high-value item, like a bone or a favorite toy, and a human or another animal approaches, their brain perceives a direct threat to their survival resources. In the wild, losing a meal could mean starvation, and that ancestral memory is hardwired into their genetic code. As you approach, the dog may not growl or snap immediately. Instead, they will stiffen their spine, lower their snout over the object, and track your movement with a sharp, sideways glance that exposes the stark white of their eyes. This is not a challenge of dominance. It is a profound manifestation of anxiety and vulnerability. Their brain is calculating the risk of conflict, desperately hoping that the whale I met a signal will be enough to make you back away. If an owner misinterprets this as guilt or stubbornness and moves closer to forcibly take the item away, they are actively teaching the dog that their subtle, polite warning signs are completely useless. By ignoring the whale eye, you inadvertently force the dog to escalate their communication up the ladder of aggression, moving from the silent stare to a lip curl, a low growl, and eventually a defensive bite. The nuance of canine communication becomes even more fascinating when we contrast whale eye with other forms of intense ocular contact, such as the direct predatory stare or the soft, affiliative gaze. When a dog looks at you with soft, relaxed eyes, their pupils are normal, their eyelids are loose, and their brain is experiencing a profound oxytocin release, the exact same hormone that bonds a human mother to her newborn infant. This is a state of psychological safety and deep social connection. On the opposite end of the spectrum is the hard, fixed predatory stare, where the eyes are wide but no sclera is visible because the head is pointing directly at the target. This is an active hunting or confrontational state, driven by dopamine and focused entirely on an objective. Whale eye is entirely unique because it represents an asymmetric emotional state. The head is turned away or tilted down in a submissive or defensive posture, while the eyes are strained back toward the stimulus. It is the visual definition of ambivalence and fear. The dog is trying to appear non-threatening by averting their face, yet they are too terrified to take their eyes off the potential danger. Understanding this distinction is what separates a standard dog owner from a true canine behaviorist. To truly appreciate the internal world of a stressed canine, we must also recognize how their other highly evolved senses interact with their visual displays. A dog experiencing the neurological state that causes whale eye is simultaneously processing the world through an overwhelmed olfactory system. When the sympathetic nervous system fires, it alters the moisture levels in the dog's nasal passages, affecting their ability to process scent through the vomeronasal organ, the specialized chemical receptor located above the roof of the mouth. This organ is responsible for detecting pheromones and subtle chemical changes in the environment, including the stress hormones emitted by humans. When a dog is in a state of high cortisol arousal, displaying scleral exposure, their ability to accurately read human emotional chemistry can become distorted. They may misinterpret your sudden movement or changes in your voice as a direct threat, creating a feedback loop of anxiety between owner and dog. This is why shouting at a dog displaying whale eye or attempting to physically manipulate them into a submissive posture is a catastrophic mistake. It floods their system with even more adrenaline, pushing them closer to a psychological breaking point where their conscious brain shuts down and pure, defensive instinct takes over. So, how do you handle this delicate psychological moment when you detect the white crescent moon in your dog's eyes? The answer lies in immediate behavioral de-escalation and the implementation of spatial safety. The moment you notice your dog displaying whale eye, you must resist the human urge to step closer, comfort them with high-pitched words, or make direct eye contact. In the canine world, prolonged, Direct eye contact from a human when a dog is already stressed is perceived as an intense challenge or a predatory threat. Instead, you must immediately look away, disengaging your visual focus. Slowly and smoothly increase the physical distance between yourself and your dog, stepping backward to give them immediate environmental relief. By increasing this distance, you are actively lowering their amygdala's arousal level, allowing their parasympathetic nervous system to take over and bring their heart rate back down. If the interaction involves a child or another pet, you must step in calmly and create a physical barrier, ensuring the dog has a clear, unobstructed exit route to their safe zone, whether that is a crate, a specific bed, or a quiet room. You must become their advocate, reading the silent language they are writing with their eyes and altering the environment to protect their peace. Building long-term psychological resilience in a dog who frequently displays whale eye requires a structured approach rooted in classical counterconditioning and desensitization. We must systematically change the emotional response inside their brain from one of fear and vigilance to one of anticipation and safety. If your dog displays scleral exposure during grooming, for example, you cannot simply force your way through the session, as this creates a phenomenon known as learned helplessness, where the dog shuts down emotionally while their internal stress remains dangerously high. Instead, you must break the stimulus down into microscopic, non-threatening steps. Show them the brush from a distance, and the moment they look at it with relaxed, soft eyes, reward them with a high-value treat that triggers a dopamine release in their brain. Over days and weeks, gradually bring the object closer, always monitoring the corners of their eyes for the slightest hint of tension or scleral exposure. If you see the white of the eye appear, you have pushed past their psychological threshold, and you must immediately step back to the previous level of comfort. By working precisely below this threshold, you are rewiring the neural pathways in their brain, teaching them that the things they once feared are actually the predictors of safety and positive experiences. True companionship with a canine is built upon a foundation of mutual respect and deep, empathetic observation. Our dogs spend their entire lives studying our movements, memorizing the cadence of our voices, and learning to navigate a human-dominated world that is often completely loud, confusing, and unnatural to their species. The very least we can do as their guardians is to learn their language in return. The next time you sit with your companion, pay close attention to the subtle shifts in their gaze, the tension around their brow, and the shape of their eyes. By recognizing the silent alarm of the whale eye, you are choosing to see past your own human perspective and step directly into the complex, beautiful, and deeply sensitive reality of the canine mind. If you want to continue this journey into advanced canine psychology and unlock the deepest secrets of your dog's behavioral language, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. We have an entire library of deep-dive scientific guides coming your way, designed to help you build the ultimate bond of trust and understanding with your four-legged companion. Thank you for watching. Keep listening to what your dog is silently telling you, and we will see you in the next video.